Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is the Doulagivers Life Class. My name is Suzanne O'Brien. Thank you so much for being here. This is going to be a very exciting episode. It's something that I've been working on for a while, and when I started to gather the information that I'm going to share with you tonight, it was really exciting for the potential, for the impact that this can have, this information, and where it's going. So let me welcome you to Doulagivers Life Class. These are monthly free education webinars, and I will share with you the whole kind of series that is known as the Doulagivers Life Class, and I've been giving them free for a little while now, again, once a month. Today we're going to be talking about the physical body and how everything is related to energy, and how you can, again, do things to have the optimum amount of physical vibrancy, health, all of it. So it's pretty exciting what I'm going to share with you tonight. And before we begin, I'll do a little bit of a background just again about the series of the Doulagivers Life Class. This is something that I've been working on for a long time. And in fact, if you know me from my nursing work with end of life, I often will begin the education pieces with saying that talking about end of life is really talking about life. We're really talking about life. They don't happen independently of one another. And when people often ask me, Suzanne, what makes a good end of life? I will say a good life. And then they say, well, what makes a good life? So welcome to Doulagivers Life Class, because we've done a lot of, again, matching the beautiful wisdom of those at the end of life with what we have learned, the experiences, what they have shared. I'm putting together a comprehensive program for holistic beings, and we are not just physical beings. There is 4 different bodies of energy that comprise us, and the life class is going to talk about each one of those different bodies of energy and how to nourish and the importance of that body of energy. And again, when you have all of the bodies being nourished and in alignment and balance, you have the greatest experience, and again, every day, so that when our life journey does end, we are able to say, okay, we really live to the fullest. So the possibilities are limitless. When you are able to raise your vibration, so to speak, and clear up the energetic fields, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, you are in the seat pocket of alignment with universal energy, with everything that is connected with the highest vibration, and everything is possible from that place. Everything you can imagine, every wonderful achievement that you want to go for, the fulfillment, the connections, it's all there. So our work is to really, again, get our being ourself in that place of balance. Well, we need information to do that, especially today when the world is so very complicated. So Doulagivers Life Class, what it is, it's the teachings based on the principles of Doulagivers Life Class by Suzanne B. O'Brien, myself. I'm going to share what it takes to truly live a happy and fulfilled life, again, based on the knowledge and the information from those who leave this world, what they impart as they do that look back, that life review. I'll share incredible wisdom from those that I've worked with at the end of life, and I'll also share what is being taught in this class is rooted and backed by science, combining personal studies that I've had in nursing, nutrition, transpersonal psychology, health and wellness in these webinar series. And I'll give you great insights into what life's journey is all about and how you can use a few simple techniques to live your happiest life today and every day. Because isn't that the goal? A quality of life every single day for all of us. So today, what we're going to talk about in this particular episode of Doulagivers Life Class is we're talking about healing your gut, healing your life. I'll share with you again, what my thoughts have been on what's been happening with illness out there. And I am really a preventative nurse. If you know me from even before I got into end of life, I was always focusing on prevention and wellness as opposed to fixing or trying to put band-aids on the illness. And we have so much chronic illness. What can be done to empower patients and help them to not get in those places of being so very sick? So everything physically in your body is controlled by your gut. So this is, and I'm going to go through this, I'm going to show you how this is now being backed by some relatively new scientific studies, but something that makes perfect sense and something that you can do so much to control the wealth of your health and how you can do that. And I have to tell you that it's really originating and based in your gut. So so that's a pretty big statement I put there. Here, heal your gut and heal your life. Well, what if I have depression? And what if I have some mental issue challenges? Like how is my gut going to heal that? Well, I'm going to share with you just that fact. So the gastro and the gut. What is the gut? The gastrointestinal tract is an organ system within humans and animals which takes in food, digests it to extract and absorb energy and nutrients, and expels the remaining waste as feces. The mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestines are part of the gastrointestinal tract. So you might know that word gut. You've probably also heard, do you have a gut feeling? Go with your gut. What does your gut tell you? And you might know that the gut is really digestion, which most people will think of that. And yes, that is correct. But I think what people don't know is how intricate what is going on in the gut and how it affects every part of your being. In the last 15 years, so just the last 15 years, new information on just how significant the gut is to your health has emerged. So what is the goal? The goal is to have a healthy gut ecosystem, and we're going to talk about what is in your gut and how that is being balanced for health and illness, digestion, all of it. And we're going to go over symptoms that you might have experienced or be experiencing, and then what you can do to rectify them. So in this diagram, so let's go to the human body on the left. You have one side, a healthy gut, and you see when that circle is right in the middle there, it's talking about, that's really, again, those little different colors and things are showing you the bacteria, the different bacteria that's in there. And it's called, it can call gut microflora, microbes, and it's also called microbiome. That's your microbiome. So it shows on the right side that healthy being has a healthy, diverse, different colors, and there's no other things that are showing on that human side. On the left side is the unhealthy gut, and you see that you have less of the gut diversity in that circle, and then you have a lot of different symptoms. So you could have stomach upset. That's one I feel like almost all of us suffer from some form of stomach upset, GI problems. But did you know that your joint pain, did you know that aches and pains, did you know that skin conditions, mental illness, we're going to talk about all of it today, is a direct relationship to the health of what is in your gut and the state of that ecosystem that's in your gut, how the neurons and all of it, neurotransmitters from that space can either, again, determine a healthy existence or one that isn't. And the amount of things that it basically has its hand in every part of every system of your body: osteoporosis, obesity, diabetes. Even they were talking about schizophrenia and mental illness, depression for sure, because we're going to talk about what actually happens in the gut to be produced that impacts those different types of diseases, especially the mental mood disorders. In the right hand, the healthy ecosystem. So that's a good analogy to make. When you think of your gut flora, you want to think of an ecosystem, because you've probably heard of good gut microbes and bad bad microbes, and sometimes they call them bugs. And I'm thinking we have to really kind of use a different term for that, because bugs just does not have a warm and fuzzy feeling to it. But it is an ecosystem. And so there are bacteria that might be rendered bad bacteria, except for they're actually fighting off worse bacteria. So you want to have a healthy ecosystem. It's sort of thinking of, you live in a village with all different types of people, and you want everyone to get along. So some people will look different, some people will have different ways that they do things, but everyone wants to get along. And so that's your really healthy ecosystem. So if you want to think of putting an analogy there, you want a vibrant, healthy, balanced ecosystem in your gut. That's really what's going to make it work. So let's talk about some fun facts about the gut. 90% of your neurotransmitters in your body are produced in the gut. So your nerves and transmitters sending messages. So your gut has a direct line of communication through what's called the vagus nerve to your brain. So it can go back and forth. So messages get sent from your gut to your brain and from your brain to your gut. 90% of the neurotransmitters are produced in your gut. So if that's the place that's making these things, then that healthy ecosystem is more important than almost anything else, because if these things are made half or not as well with an unhealthy gut, they're going to again produce an unhealthy, wherever they go, whatever their messaging is, whatever they went to build, it's not going to be as good. So that is pretty significant to say that 90% of those neurotransmitters in the body are produced in the gut. Then intestines still function even if the vagus nerve is severed. So this really was a very eye-opening finding for scientists, because if they thought that the brain controlled everything in the body, then how is it possible that if the vagus nerve, which sends messages from the brain to the gut, is severed, the gut still can act independently, still digests? So they now dubbed it the second brain, and that it has a brain of its own, which is really amazing. 90 to 95% of your serotonin, which is your nature's antidepressant, that's your hormone that makes you happy, not depressed. 90 to 95 of serotonin hormone is produced in the gut. This makes so much sense once again, and you'll really be able to put this all in perspective by the end of this class, because when you see that when you have an unhealthy gut, everything is impacted, and we have so much depression and anxiety, and again, gut health is compromised in such a major way in our world right now, that all of us are suffering from it. So we really have to learn how to support that ecosystem. The other findings, and this is a big thing that there's a couple things that I was really studying for years, and one was Alzheimer's. So if you're in some of my classes, you will know that when I talk about Alzheimer's disease, I often have said in years past that, the prevalence is it's so high. And does anyone have a theory on what that might have been, or what set off this, again, large amounts of people having Alzheimer's disease? And the same goes with autism. So anytime there is a surge or a large number of new types of disease or something, there's got to be common denominators. There's got to be the missing link that we have to find, that is allowing this to be in the numbers that they are. And so I've always been talking about Alzheimer's disease, which is a terrible, terrible disease. And it turns out that I was, hypothesizing and finding out information about this ecosystem and the gut health. And I think I'm onto something pretty big. And I think there's been some tests to scientific data to start to justify just that. So the way that your ecosystem, your gut flora, starts to get initiated is when you are a baby and being born. So the body, by a vaginal birth, the baby is exposed to the mother's flora in the vaginal canal, which starts and stimulates and ignites the baby's coating of microbiome. So it's a natural, instant way of protection for that baby that's come out into the world. Well, today, 1 out of 3 babies is born via a C-section, and they are not exposed to that first initial coating of microbiome and protection. And so what happens is the microbiome is going to be developed from their exposure in the hospital to whatever people have on their hands that are touching the baby. And it has really, again, been talked about that the heightened amounts of autism, and I believe this, heightened amounts of autism and other things that like asthma and obesity and all these things that people are subjected to, these children, are a direct link to, again, the microbiome and possibly not being exposed to the initial natural protection that is by the vaginal delivery. The second component to that is breastfeeding. Breastfeeding builds immunity and microbiome in babies, and a lot of people do not breastfeed for whatever reason. There's no judgment. It's just that there's not, it's not an immediate thing that everyone breastfeeds their babies. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's a very small amount. So the gut as your second brain. So again, it has been dubbed as the second brain because it acts independently, but also because they are finding that there are so many neurotransmitters in the gut. So in the brain, yes. And then also there's just high levels in the gut, and things are originating in the gut, and the gut can act independently if that vagus nerve is severed from any contact with the brain. So the brain does not control the gut, and it does not, it doesn't need it to do its function. So it has its own brain that they're talking about. A deeper understanding of this mass of neural tissue filled with important neurotransmitters is revealing that it does much more than merely handling digestion or inflicting the occasional nervous pang. The little brain in our innards is connection with the big one in our skulls, partly determines our mental state and plays key roles in certain diseases throughout the body. Basically everything. I have uncovered and been talking about the health of the gut, and it literally is traced back to almost every ailment, every disease, every way that we operate. There is a connection with your gut health. The second brain informs our state of mind in other more obscure ways, as well as a big part of our emotions are probably influenced by the nerves in our gut. And so I have had several examples here by scientists and statements that says that. So they say that butterflies in the stomach signaling in the gut is part of our psychological stress response. Gershon, who's a scientist, says it's but one example, although gastrointestinal GI turmoil can sour one's mood. So let's just hang on that for a minute. So GI turmoil, so an imbalance in that gut health, that gut ecosystem, can lead to depression, can sour your mood. Everyday emotional well-being may rely on messages from the brain below to the brain above. So from the gut, again, originating those neurotransmitters sent to the brain, you know, again, it can send a depression, it can send an anxiety, but it's originating in the gut from that unhealthy ecosystem. For example, electrical stimulation of the vagus nerve is a useful treatment for depression. So it may mimic these signals. So there have been studies, again, that are connecting treatment for depression with stimulating the vagus nerve. And again, when we have that electric health of the neurotransmitters in a healthy gut, it's going to stimulate the happy hormones, everything kind of going well. And so they're trying to tweak this to, again, increase treatment and positivity for people suffering from depression. But let's go and get down underneath the hood of the car, because when you can reset your gut and when you can improve that ecosystem, your whole life is going to be better. Your whole life is going to change, and that's what I want for you. Gut health and you. So only since 2002 have scientists started to find that gut bacteria and the effects that they have on our health. Again, 2002, not that long ago. So at that point, they actually were able to detect a blueprint, like a fingerprint for different gut bacteria, so they can specify what they look like and what was in the ecosystem, what was missing, what was in overgrowth. Again, it's that fine balance. The incredible complexity of the gut and its importance to our overall health is a topic of increasing research in the medical community. Numerous studies in the past 2 decades have demonstrated links between gut health and the immune system, mood, mental health, autoimmune diseases, endocrine disorders, skin disorders, and cancer. So basically everything, and it's true. So let's talk about your gut microbiome. The term gut microbiome refers specifically to the microorganisms living in your intestines. A person has up to 1,000 different species of bacteria in their digestive tract. While some microorganisms are harmful to our health, most are incredibly beneficial and even necessary to a healthy body. Certain bacteria protect you from diseases. So again, I don't necessarily like to use bad bacteria, good bacteria, because you do have an amount of what they call bad bacteria that live in your unsterile GI system, but they're necessary in the right amounts because they stave off disease, illness, bacteria that's trying to come in and really could be very harmful to your being. They fight them. So it's actually really amazing to have a variety again, but in healthy amounts, and that all get along. So bacteria and germs are your friends. And I think that we have to be well aware that we have put a war on microbes in our world. And we'll talk about antibiotics and things that have happened, but we've done a bad thing because we've wiped out all of our microbes and we're fighting all of them when we need them for optimal health in healthy amounts. So let's talk about signs of an unhealthy gut. I think every single person experiencing one or some of these things at some point in their life, and it has to be, there's no way around it, especially if you are in the middle of your life, like 40s and 50s and up, because you've been bombarded with toxins and processed foods and different things that have completely knocked out your healthy GI. So it's not your fault, but we have to do our due diligence to take charge of our health. So let me go over the signs of unhealthy gut and what that means. So GI disturbances, number 1, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, heartburn can all be signs of an unhealthy gut. A balanced gut will have less difficulty processing food and eliminating waste. So one example is there was something going around on the internet called a food baby, and people were taking pictures of their food baby after they ate. Their stomachs would just explode, looking like they were pregnant, and that is a unhealthy response. You shouldn't have that kind of bloating, but because of the inflammatory response of the food, which is our processed food is just not food, and the allergens and again, the inflammation that these things trigger, their stomachs were huge. And these are women that were in their 20s and young women. So it affects so many people. I know the constipation with my patients, with people that talking, like so many people have some or all of these symptoms at some point, and that's a real direct link to your gut health or lack thereof. Number 2, it's just a telltale given. If you have a high sugar diet, you're going to have inflammation. So the scary thing is sugar's in everything. And the reason that sugar's in everything is because it's addictive. The brain likes it. It wants more of it. So a diet high in processed foods, and added sugars can decrease the amount of good bacteria in your gut. So let's just say, to make things easy, that your bad bacteria love sugar. All right. So, and these are live bacteria. So they eat and they crave. And so they live on sugar and this junk, this awful junk. The good bacteria live off of good things. So a diet high in the processed foods and added sugars decreases the amounts of good bacteria because it feeds the bad bacteria. So they start to grow. And it's interesting because as they grow, you're going to have stronger and stronger cravings for this junk, this sugar. This imbalance can cause increased sugar cravings, which can damage your gut still further. High amounts of refined sugars, particularly high fructose corn syrup, all of the above, have been linked to increased inflammation in the body, and inflammation can be the precursor to a number of diseases, even cancer. So let's break it down really simple. Your gut, if you are having a high process, which, most of our quote unquote food sources is processed foods, unfortunately, in the United States, it's the Western diet, causes an inflammatory response in the body. The inflammatory response damages the walls of your intestines and can cause, again, further issues, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I want you to understand that inflammation, and I'm sure you've heard this before, inflammation is now being directly linked to diseases, even cancer, joint pain, autoimmune diseases, cancer. So we really want to make sure that we understand what triggers inflammation in the body by what we ingest and how we can have control over that. So a fact, of our 600,000 processed foods in the United States, 72% of them have added sugar to them. So some of them have their own sugar originally in them, and then they've added, 72% have added sugar. So I really want you to understand here that you have got to be a proactive advocate for your health. We have got to take charge of our health. I watch some of the ads on TV for certain things, and I'll tell you, they do such a good job of branding, of the name, of the packaging, of the things that they highlight, the things that they're not saying, making things seem like, oh, they have, 12 grams of protein, it's great for you, and they forgot to mention that they have 48 grams of sugar in it as well. So it totally is not worth it canceling each other out. But if you're not a savvy, educated consumer, have somebody kind of helping you, this is what we're falling into. This is where we're seeing childhood obesity. We're seeing so many people with chronic illnesses, and it's directly related to your gut health and the fact that the diet in the United States, the Western diet, is pretty much just awful. So sugar equals the inflammation, which equals diseases. And I'm not saying, believe me, I'm not saying that you have to not ever have sugar. I like chocolate. I like a little sugar. I feel good when I'm having it. It's yummy, but I don't feel good afterwards. So one day a week to have that special treat is probably a really healthy thing to do. I'm not saying you can't have it. I'm just saying we want to be mindful of it. And also you want to make really good choices. So here's another one. And this is something I hear all the time. Gaining weight, and gaining weight and can't lose it. You know what? It's really not your fault. So gaining or losing weight, and it's really the gaining weight without making changes to your diet or exercise habits, may be a sign of an unhealthy gut. An imbalanced gut can impair your body's ability to absorb nutrients, to regulate blood sugar, and to store fat. Everything starts in the gut. Weight loss may be caused by small intestinal bacterial growth, SIBO. Okay, that's not that common. It's more the weight gain, while weight gain may be caused by insulin resistance or the urge to overeat due to decreased nutrient absorption. So when you have food cravings, a couple of things can be happening there. So number one, your gut health, and the predominant bacteria in your gut is going to influence your brain as to what to eat, which to me is so scary and also so exciting to kind of nail down. So when you're having a craving for something, you're saying, oh, I just want that bag of potato chips. Guess who's talking? Guess who is influencing your decision? It's those darn gut bacteria. And you feel it strongly. You feel like you really want that. That's what they want to munch on. So they're sending that signal to your brain. And you know, when I used to say that I have a strong craving for something, it was like, okay, well, sure, have it. You know, you really want it. And to know that the bacteria is actually having a strong influence over how you make decisions is really, again, scary, but also exciting to nail down. So the fact about craving food as well is that if you're weak and you're fatigued and you want energy and you're craving something because you want more and more, there's a big part of this that you're ingesting, what you're ingesting, the nutrient value is not making its way to your cells and you're starving your cells. And this is where diabetes, insulin resistance, diabetes type 2 is all, you know, a plague now, but all of what a lot of people suffer from. And so your cells are starving because the nutrients cannot get to them. So it's having you eat more food, which in turn is still not getting to the cells adequately, but then being stored as extra fat. So there's so many different components here that are leading to the weight gain. So it's not your fault, but we're going to get your gut in balance and we're going to get you feeling great, and that weight's going to start to fall off. Even if you are in a peri or menopausal woman who has very difficult weight problems, because I will tell you again that when we start to balance the bacteria in your gut, the hormones originate in your gut. And when those get under control, then you're going to have that weight falling off as well into a healthy range. Sleep disturbances. Are you being bothered by sleep disturbances? An unhealthy gut may contribute to sleep disturbances such as insomnia or poor sleep, and therefore lead to chronic fatigue. If you have suffered from chronic fatigue, which most people that I know actually do, you're dragging yourself through your day. Sometimes you're dragging yourself out of bed, you get your coffee, you wake up, and then you're kind of, maybe you have a couple of good hours and then you're, you know, dragging through the afternoon. This is not how your body, I don't care if you're 50, 60, 70, you should have energy, and this is all originating in the gut. So the majority of the body's serotonin, again, a hormone that affects mood and sleep, is produced in the gut. So this hormone that induces that really good sleep is produced in the gut. Remember, we said 90% of it. So gut damage can impair your ability to sleep well, and some sleep disturbances has also been linked to the risk for people suffering from fibromyalgia. But I will tell you that a good night's sleep the next day, you feel like the top of the world. It's amazing. So a good night's sleep is so important for so many reasons, just for your body repairing, but also how you feel the next day. So we really want to make sure that you're sleeping well. 5, depression and mental health. 90% of all of your serotonin hormone is made in your gut. So many people, again, based on let's just say you weren't breastfed as a baby, or you were a C-section baby, so you have that right out of the gate starting out. Then you have the Western diet. Then you have the invention of antibiotics and the overuse of them. So against biotics. And what happens is these antibiotics kill not only the bad, but they kill the good. They wipe out your flora. So we have seen the use of antibiotics. I think everyone's been on antibiotics. You go to the doctor with symptoms and you walk out with a script for antibiotics. It is extremely damaging. You put all these things together and we have a really imbalanced gut. And we have a lot of people suffering from depression that are taking antidepressants that a lot of times don't have really good effect. We want to get to the root cause, get that gut healthy, producing that its own serotonin so that we can feel that happy hormone. Everyone deserves it. And you probably know many people in your life that are suffering from depression and mental health issues. Let's help them. Number 6, autoimmune disorders. You know, when I was in nursing school and we were studying autoimmune disorders, and there's a ton of them. And you know what autoimmune means? It means against your own immunity, and it has no known origin. So these autoimmune, they don't know where they come from, this disorder or diseases. Well, I don't buy that. There's got to be a link. There's got to be something. So what it is it's an autoimmune response to your own body. We're poisoning our own bodies with the food and the junk and not having balanced gut. And inside is a battleground all throughout our bodies of it malfunctioning, disease, inflammation processes. We don't have the right nutrient value for us to repair cells, to regrow things. The hormones that we're putting out from our gut are not whole, in good shape, so that my hormone systems are not working, because everything's a very intricate system within our bodies. So autoimmune really means we're turning on ourselves. So let's again take charge of that, and we can change it. Medical researchers are continually finding new evidence of the impact of our gut on the immune system. There's a study called the System Trusted Source, and it is thought that an unhealthy gut may increase systemic inflammation and alter the proper functioning of the immune system. Well, yes, absolutely. There's no may about it. This can lead to autoimmune diseases where the body attacks itself rather than harmful invaders. So I put sources in here of studies that were done. And sometimes, again, they say that may cause. I'm telling you 100% that this is what's happening to your body, and you can think about it and make sense out of it. If you are constantly putting in foreign, damaging things into your body, we have our pollution to deal with. We have so much just stress that we're under, which causes inflammation in our body systems. Then what we ingest, all the sugar products, my goodness, our poor bodies. So yes, that's where all these autoimmune diseases are coming from, but also other diseases are coming from that imbalance in the gut as well. Food intolerances. So your body's trying to tell you, you eat a certain something and you get, pains in your stomach or gas or the bloated feeling. It's like your body is saying, I don't like that. I don't want it. So you want to be very sensitive and notice when you eat if certain things that you are eating are kicking up these type of responses. Few things, again, gluten is a big one. Dairy is a big one. Grains are a big one. If you go back in history to how we originated and what our bodies consisted of, sustainability, what we ate was, plants, fruits, vegetables, nuts, meats, the occasional meat, and it didn't have grains in it. It didn't have these manufactured things in it, so we have to, I feel like, get back to some of the basics here to allow our bodies for optimal functioning. So food intolerances are the result of difficulty in digesting certain foods. This is different than a food allergy. It's an intolerance. It's a response, it's inflammatory response, which is caused by an immune system reaction to certain foods. It's thought that food intolerance may be caused by poor quality of bacteria in the gut. Okay, yes. A poor quality of your gut health and also what you're putting into it. So we're putting junk into our bodies, but also we don't have a healthy ecosystem there. This can lead to difficulty digesting the trigger foods, and unpleasant symptoms such as bloating, gas, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and nausea can occur. There is some evidence that food allergies may also be related to gut health. Yeah, everything is originating in the gut. And when we say food, we're being way too general. So when we say food, the definition of food is supposed to be nutrient. We're going to start to make sure that what you are eating is 80% of a dense nutrient content. So my patients, when I was working, and I still do, with my beautiful elder population, the Alzheimer's is just so awful, and it is prevalent, and it is devastating to watch people. And I said, there's got to be a connection here. What is the common denominator? And so back in the day, and you might have heard this, that it was very hard to diagnose Alzheimer's. You go by the symptoms with, the starting to be forgetful, and then, usually ends up, not recognizing anyone and not being able to speak. And then what they would say is that it was positively identified when they would do an autopsy by plaques in the brain. So they were like, okay, so that's Alzheimer's are caused by plaques that develop in the brain. Okay, kind of, I understand where their thinking was. This is a weird thing that's like a hardened surface in different locations in the brain that would interfere with the connection of the electrical neurotransmitters. However, turns out that they have now found that people that have plaques in their brain have no symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, and they've had people that have had symptoms of Alzheimer's disease with no plaque in their brain. So we can kind of throw that theory out the window. So what we can say is that this makes perfect sense, that if our guts, and again, Alzheimer's happens in the later years of life, the continuous bombardment of toxins and our unhealthy gut bacteria state, eventually the overgrowth of that bad bacteria and the lack of the transmitters working makes it more and more difficult, and symptom management is more present. So forgetfulness, memory, different parts of the brain, because those transmitters are not going. So now I, thought about this, and then I found a couple of different studies that some were looking into a connection, and also there was one that I read the other day about Japan. Last January came out with one connecting the possibility of Alzheimer's being linked to gut health. So Alzheimer's disease is a progressive disorder that causes brain cells to waste away, degenerate, and die. They're not getting what they need. Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia, a continuous decline in thinking, behavior, and social skills that disrupts a person's ability to function independently. It's devastating, and I'm sure you know or have heard of somebody with Alzheimer's disease. Then you have on the other side of things, you have the young ones, the young babies, little kids coming out and being diagnosed with autism. That was also a big surge. And so there was that link to an hypothesis with the vaccinations, the vaccines. I think people were just, again, saying there has to be a missing link with the surge of both of these. What is the common denominator? And autism, yeah, I understand why they were thinking vaccinations, but they were on track, but they were wrong. So the vaccinations are actually taking a bit of that bacteria, that disease, that illness, whatever that is, and exposing in a small amount to kick your immune response into gear so you can override when it comes, that you can fight it. So you develop fighter cells towards it. So I understand what their line of thinking was, and it's not totally incorrect, although I don't believe that that's the case at all. I believe it is, again, starting in that baby's gut health or the lack thereof, and hence the neurotransmitters aren't developing the way they should, and we're seeing autistic behavior and the lack of, again, hitting our milestone marks. So autism spectrum disorder is the development of the disability that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral changes. So as that young little being is growing and the neurotransmitters are not making it correctly, or they have an overgrowth of the harmful bacteria, it's interfering with the growth of the milestones that we should be on a chronological timeline. And so to bring home this fact, I have read that there are many autistic children suffer from GI issues, from bad GI issues. So right there's the connection. And then when they have done things to help to repair that GI balance and ecosystem, their symptoms have improved. So I definitely think there is that connection with both of them there. And if we can really hone into this Alzheimer's one, how amazing would this be if we could figure out something to help grow their ecosystem in their abdomen, in their gut, and get them back, get them or prevent them from going there. I mean, wouldn't that be incredible? Well, you know as well as I do that I will be on a mission to try and see if that is the case to help people for sure. Both of these diseases are very prevalent. Is there a connection with gut health and these diseases? Yes, I would absolutely put anything on the fact that the answer is yes. There's a little one for us. Can your gut bacteria influence your behavior? Well, that's a question I'm posing to you. I kind of gave you a little bit of an answer to that earlier, but let me share with you. So this little one here, cutie patootie, I had to find a friendly face of a mouse so that if anyone's scared of mice, that you wouldn't be scared and it wouldn't be like a bad thing putting it up there. But there was a study that was done with mice, and they found that if mice were colonized with the bacteria Toxoplasm gondii, that the mice lost their fear of cats. So this is so very important. So if the mice microbiome, gut microbiome, was colonized with the microbe Toxoplasm gondii, they all of a sudden lost their fear of cats. In fact, they started to become attracted to the cats. Now, it didn't work out very well for the mice. They ended up as the dinner for the cats. However, this is very significant in me sharing with you how the bacteria in your gut sends messages to your brain regarding your thinking, your mood, and your decision making. I mean, this to me is groundbreaking. So when we can control the health of our gut, we're controlling like everything about our health and well-being, including our decision-making and behavior. So this is, again, a very, very important finding. That's the study with mice, and I know that there have been talks about doing some, again, human studies with transplanting microbes into the gut so that they can colonize and have a healthy balance. And again, I think that's where we're headed with the wanting to find answers to disease processes and help people to live happier existence. So if you could take gut microbes from a healthy person with optimum health, take a sample of those and implant them in somebody else and see if they were able to colonize and grow again in a healthy way, that would be wonderful. So that's something in the future. I'm going to tell you what you can do today to help your gut be as healthy as possible, but that's something that we can be looking forward to hearing about in the future. So there, we're going to say goodbye to our little sweet little thing there that's helping us find out about all these different ways that the gut bacteria really influence us. Of all the many ways the teeming ecosystem of microbes in a person's gut and other tissues might affect health, its potential influences on the brain may be the most provocative. Now, a study of 2 large groups of Europeans has found several species of gut bacteria are missing in people with depression. The researchers can't say whether the absence is a cause or an effect of the illness, but they showed that many gut bacteria can make substances that affect nerve cell function and maybe mood. Absolutely. So this is really, you have about 1,000 different types of bacteria in your gut, and they have found again that there is missing bacteria that are with people that are suffering from certain diseases and symptoms, and vice versa. That people have certain bacteria that fought off diseases in other beings. It is the first real stab of tracking how a microbe's chemicals might affect mood in humans, says John Cryan, a neuroscientist at University College Cork in Ireland, who has been one of the most vocal proponents of a microbiome-brain connection. The study really pushes the field from where it's been with small studies of depressed people or animal experiments. Interventions based on the gut microbiome are now under investigation. The University of Basel in Switzerland, for example, is planning a trial of fecal transplants, which can restore or alter the gut microbiome in depressed people. Okay, so I wasn't going to say that without having it be somewhere in some of my data, because you were going to think she's really lost her mind now. She's talking, she said, did she really say fecal transplant? And unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it does have a very strange connotation to it, but the microbes can be found in the feces. And so they have found, again, I mean, there might be a better way, again, to do this, but it is not a very difficult way to actually do a fecal transplant to see if those microbes will grow and help that ecosystem in that microbiome for that person's gut to become a healthy ecosystem. And again, adding microbes that the depressed people were missing to have them not be depressed. I mean, I think it's, if I were really depressed, I would want to try almost anything. So I think that they are on the right track. And again, it's really exciting to see where this goes. But again, we can help our gut health today. Scientific studies, according to Dr. E.M. Quigley in his study, A Trusted Source on Gut Bacteria in the Journal of Gastroenterology and Hepatology, having a wide variety of these good bacteria in your gut can enhance your immune system function, improve symptoms of depression, help combat obesity, and provide numerous other benefits, basically everything. I have linked it to almost every process that you have in your body. So you want a variety of good bacteria in your gut, and you want that balance of, you know, some of the other bacteria so that there's a healthy fighting force, like a line of defense. You just want a really diverse, healthy ecosystem in there. That is the best way that I have come to understand health is the most vibrant with that variety of good and bad bacteria in a healthy ecosystem. Your bugs are your friends. They defend you. Oh my gosh, look at that little. So I put a ladybug on there. Of course, the ladybug is not in our ecosystem, in our gut, but it was a friendly bug to put on there, and she's got a little flower for us. So a couple of things happened that got us in this place, and it's not our fault, but we have to be aware of it so we can change it. So we put a war on bugs. In about 1926 or so, antibiotics. Yeah, really exciting, a really good thing that we found them. There's a terrible overuse of them now. And so we just decided to zap everything. We thought that you kill every single bug that we could possibly find with everything we could possibly find to kill it. And what we did is we literally wiped ourselves out. So we impose this war on bugs. We have these antibiotics that are overused and used all over the place. And we have antimicrobials. So our hand sanitizers, you know, you might see or know somebody who uses hand sanitizer like almost to an OCD point of contact, where they're using it and they're just, your flora, your microbiome is on your skin as well. It's not only in your gut, it's on your surface of your skin. It's there to protect you. And this is a fun fact, and I don't want you to get put off by this, but you are 90% bacteria. Your being, which is really kind of mind-blowing, your cells are 90% bacterial cells and only 10% human cells. You can Google that. You can take a look at it. It is the truth. So we want to have an array of bacteria, and we want to love our bacteria and have it be in a healthy balance. In fact, I remember being in nursing school and them talking about this man, this homeless man, who was so ill and he had such a wound on his leg that it was turning gangrene. And when they finally brought him into the emergency room, the wound was healing. And the reason, I mean, this is going to be kind of a little bit not colorful, I'm sorry, but kind of if you're squeamish, there were maggots that, because he was homeless and so dirty, there were maggots that got into that wound and were actually debrising that wound for him. So those bugs turned out to really be his friend and save his leg. However, we want a healthy balance. You don't want to overkill everything. We want a healthy balance of it. Oh. All right, 1892, Ilya Mechnikov knew this. I was practicing how to say his name. So here's a wonderful scientist. So In 1892, Mechnikov discovered just what we're talking about now. He was living in Paris, France, and there was an outbreak of cholera, and it was killing thousands of people died. And he wanted to study this bacteria. And so what he did, like a good scientist, was he took cholera. He decided to drink it and see what happened, and he did not die. He did not even get sick. So he was like, okay, what's going on with that? People are dying from this, and I didn't even get sick. So he took a colleague and had the colleague drink even a higher dose of it, and the colleague did not get sick. And so they took a third colleague and they gave him a dosage of cholera, and that person got deathly sick. Didn't die, but he got deathly sick. And so what he found underneath the microscope was that there were certain bacteria that were present in his gut that warded off that cholera, that killed that cholera infection. So then he, determined that it is our gut health and the diversity of what is in our gut health that can protect us from disease processes. And he was right on. So he then went and he studied the longest living people in, and I think it was Switzerland, and it turns out that they were drinking fermented milk every day. And so he decided that he's going to start drinking fermented milk every day, came back to Paris, and he lived to be 71 years old when the average age then was 40. So he is the one who discovered that certain bug bacteria in our gut warded off other diseases. And, about 10 years after he died, we discovered those good old antibiotics, and we forgot all about his findings, but I think it's starting to come back. So let's talk about leaky gut. If you have not heard about this, this is super important, and I think that we're all basically suffering from some form of this, and you'll see why when I tell you. So inside of our bellies, we have an extensive intestinal lining covering more than 4,000 square feet of surface area. When working properly, it forms a tight barrier that controls what gets absorbed in the bloodstream, the nutrients. An unhealthy gut lining may have large cracks or holes in them. When we say large cracks, they could have that, and they can even have little tears in them, allowing partially digested food, toxins, and bugs to penetrate the tissues beneath it. This may trigger inflammation and changes in the gut flora, the normal bacteria, that can lead to problems within the digestive tract and beyond. The research world is booming today with studies showing that modifications in the intestinal bacteria and inflammation may play a role in the development of several common chronic diseases. So absolutely across the board, yes and yes. So a leaky gut means that you have a sterile part of you and you have a non-sterile part of you. Your non-sterile part is from your mouth all the way to your anus, and then your sterile part is your body. And so your gut and those bacteria are there to fight and kill dangerous things that you ingest, that they don't get into your being. And when you have cracks or holes that come from eating this terrible Western diet, and consistent inflammation will cause these tears. That causes what they call leaky gut, and things that are now toxic to your sterile body are floating out into your bloodstream, causing chronic pain, fatigue, other ailments. It's very, very scary. How does our digestion actually work? You have your small intestines. These are the muscles of the small intestines. They mix food with digestive juices from the pancreas, liver, and intestine and push the mixture forward for further digestion. The walls, this is very important, the walls of the small intestine absorb water and the digested nutrients into your bloodstream. So your small intestine has walls on it with little villi, and they are the places that your body is going to pull nutrients, those vitamins, minerals, and any nutrients out of the food processing, the digestion that's going on, put them into places in your body that can use them and grow. As peristalsis continues, the waste products of the digestive process move into the large intestine. So it's going to take all the things that it can use and then move along the stuff that is going to be eliminated that is not needed. Large intestine, then it gets into the large intestine. That's where waste products from the digestive process, including undigested parts of food, fluid, and odor cells from the lining in your GI tract. The large intestine absorbs water and changes the waste from liquid into stool. Peristalsis helps move the stool into your rectum. So now you're starting that whole elimination process, getting it ready. And the rectum is the lower end of your large intestine. The rectum stores stool until it pushes stool out of your anus during a bowel movement. And everyone should have a bowel movement at least once a day. Really, they're talking for health that you can have it every other day, even, for my older patients, 2 to 3 days. But, every day with enough water and fiber and things like that, you should really be moving the junk out of your body. So the small intestines. This is the important thing that I want you to know. They have villi on them. These are little finger-like. The inner wall of the small intestine has a number of finger-like outgrowths called villi. They're very, very minute and tiny and sensitive. The villi increase the surface area of absorption of the digested food. The food substances are absorbed through this villi and then transported through the blood vessels to different organs in the body for nutrition, for energy, for growth of new cells. So what happens if my villi are damaged? This is really what I want to zero in on here. When the body's immune system overreacts to anything, foreign, gluten, other foreign products, this processed food, inflammation, sugar, the reaction damages the tiny hair-like projections, the villi, that line the small intestine. Villi absorb vitamins and minerals and other nutrients from the food you eat. If your villi are damaged, you can't get enough nutrients no matter how much you eat. So we all have damaged villi at this point, especially if you're in the middle age of your life. And we really need to reset our gut and get it back healthy so that those villi are functioning and can absorb nutrients. So if you're taking your vitamins, if you're eating a really healthy diet, if your villi is damaged, it's not going to do you any good. So we really, again, want to focus on the repair of that GI tract. Why is a healthy GI tract important? To absorb your essential vitamins and minerals. So when I say essential vitamins and minerals, that means they are essential for life. It means that the only way you're going to get them is through ingestion of what nutrients you take in. Vitamins are biological nutrients that are required for a number of cellular and tissue-specific processes in your body. Vitamins are primarily attained from your dietary intake, with different vitamins originating from different types of food sources. Nearly all nutrients that are classified as vitamins are obtained through dietary means, which is indicative of the term essential, because the body cannot synthesize these compounds. It can't make them. There are only a few vitamins that are considered non-essential because the body is capable of making them. However, these so-called non-essential vitamins are still primarily obtained from your nutritional consumption, which technically makes them essential. So it's really coming from your diet, which in turn is only going to be as good as it is absorbed by your small intestine, those villi. So a couple of examples: essential vitamins and minerals. You have 13 essential vitamins your body needs for all of the body processes. They're labeled there. And I also have put down the essential minerals. So minerals you need in very trace amounts, small amounts. However, we have found that, again, in the Western diet and the way that we are living now, is that people are missing these essential minerals. Magnesium has been a big one for people that they are missing. Lots of them have been missing. They found a lot of these different things. So we really, again, want to get them in small amounts, and our gut health has to be optimum to be able to absorb them. If your gut is not healthy, you cannot absorb these essential nutrients. So nutrients usually are a great way for vitamins and minerals is your fruits and your vegetables. So how do we restore your gut health? 7 steps to restoring your gut health that you can do today. Number 1, you can change your diet. Yes, I know we don't like to hear that, we're not going to be able to have our yummies or our diet soda or our let's see, what's good, a big bag of chips and all that stuff. I'm not saying that you can't have that. I'm saying limit it. And here's the thing that's really going to be crazy. When you take charge of your health, when you start to switch up what you're ingesting to, again, a mostly natural vitamins, minerals, plant-based, plant fruits, some nuts and things like that, you don't even crave the other things. You know why? Because your bacteria in your gut is the healthy, the one that is eating the healthy things, is very happy, is you have all the energy. You're not eating for energy. It is amazing. I knew this was so significant when I was doing this absolutely wonderful, very healthy water and eating, the greens and everything. And I was having this dream one night that somebody was making me a green smoothie with kale and spinach. And I was literally just like, it was like you were putting an ice cream sundae, because, you can make smoothies with almond butter and, there's certain things that they have, like, I don't want to, dates. They were putting dates in there for sweetness, and it was all natural, and it was delicious, absolutely delicious. So I knew that something really was happening here when I was actually dreaming and so excited about somebody giving me this green smoothie that I was craving, and I actually had to get one like the next day. So do this for yourself, and even try it out for a time period to see just how different you feel. If you are suffering from aches and pains, if you are suffering from sleeping disorders, if you have, any kind of like mood issues, energy, try this for a few weeks and you will be absolutely amazed at how you feel. So step one is to change your diet, reducing the amount of processed foods, high sugar or any real sugar, and high fat foods that you eat can contribute to a better gut health. Additionally, eating plenty of plant-based foods and lean protein can positively impact your gut. A diet high in fiber has been shown to contribute tremendously to a healthy gut microbiome. So what I would advise you is to make it simple, to try and eat, again, fruits and vegetables. Try to Google some smooth, and we're going to be sharing these recipes with you, some recipes for a smoothie. And when I share with you that the smoothies that I get sometimes taste like an ice cream shake, they're so delicious, and they're all full of goodness, that it is possible, and you won't miss it for anything the other way. So it's these real tweaks that you can do. So try and stick with, again, things that are grown, things that are natural, things that don't have processed anything to them. So fruits, vegetables, nuts, and lean proteins and fish are really good. So that is what I would do to make it simple and increase your water intake. Be very, very mindful of the junk and the hidden calories and sugar and things that are in drinks. So I kind of have a rule of thumb right now that I can have coffee. I drink coffee in the morning, but I also stick to all my other liquid is water. Water. Sometimes I'll squeeze lemon into it or lime into it and make it alkaline. But really, I don't miss the other stuff. And it just, when you grab a little something with even some lemonade or whatever, it's just all sugar based. So be very mindful. And we definitely don't get enough water. So number 2 is to lower your stress level. Yes, we all have it. They're calling it the black disease, the silent disease that is plaguing us all. In fact, I have this little clip that I want to do called, "Are you suffering from overstimulitis?" We are bombarded with just emails and newsletters and media, and like everything is just crazy. So we're very stressed. It's a very stressful life that we're living in right now. So chronic high levels of stress are hard on your whole body, including your gut. So ways to reduce stress: meditation, walking, getting a massage, spending time with friends or family, laughing is so good for us, diffusing essential oils, decreasing caffeine intake, and again, laughing yoga, and having a pet. Pets are incredible. So I often try and do some deep breathing occasionally. I also try and give the beginning of the day to myself, getting up a little earlier, and they have found as little as 10 to 15 minutes of you just giving that beginning of the day, getting grounded, before you set off into, what did somebody say? Your day gets hijacked, you know, because the minute you start, everything gets hijacked and you sort of are chasing behind everything all day. And then periodically during the day to shut down and to, if you can, get outside and put your face in the sun or take your pet for a walk and just quiet it down to get it back to like homeostasis is very important. So these are little suggestions, and it can take as little as 10 to 15 minutes in a day. All right, getting enough sleep. Do you know that your bacteria have a circadian rhythm to them? They're live, and they have a sleep cycle and a wake cycle. So you want to, again, have a very healthy relationship with your gut bacteria. Not getting enough or sufficient quality of sleep can have serious impacts on your gut health, which can in turn contribute to more sleep issues. So try to prioritize getting at least 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep per night. Getting on a cycle is really helpful for people. You kind of have your own circadian rhythm. So what hours you do really well with going to bed and waking up, sort of try and keep that. You know, once these things are set in motion, they are perpetuating. So again, don't sleep well contributes to bad gut health, which contributes to not sleeping well, amongst an array of other things. So really important to get that on track. Look at that sweet little kitten. They sleep so well. And getting regular exercise. The benefits of exercise are endless. And we will, again, do a whole class on exercise, and again, how you can really incorporate some simple things with some huge benefits. But the benefits of moving your body are endless. So really want to encourage you to just even get out there and walk. Do a 20-minute walk in nature, which does a few things that are wonderful. It connects you, meditate. It's like a meditative type of thing. Breathing deep, moving your body, circulating everything. Very, very important. And drink more water. Drinking plenty of water has been shown to have a beneficial effect on the mucosal lining of the intestines, as well as on the balance of good bacteria in the gut. Staying hydrated is a simple way to promote a healthy gut. So you're supposed to have about 8 8-ounce glasses of water a day. I bet that most people, including myself, are not always accomplishing that. So it's really like an effort to constantly be saying, okay, a glass of water, and your body will thank you. First of all, if you suffer from headaches, you could be dehydrated, okay? So many people I know complain of headaches, it's dehydration. Aches and pains, dehydration. Sometimes they're dehydrated and you think that you're hungry because those signals get mixed, and so you go and you eat, so it leads to being overweight. Hydration, for every cell process, because our body is mostly water, it's like there's a large component of water. So your water intake helps with elimination, helps with cell respiration, elimination of toxins. Just, I can go on and on. So very important. So that's one of the things when we put our 30-day plan for people, because we're going to be giving a 30-day challenge where we're going to walk through. Anyone who wants to be part of it, we're going to really do that together for 30 days and make that gut health and change. We're going to be, again, incorporating drinking water in our everyday and logging it in so we know that we're hitting our marks and seeing how good we feel when we do it. So number 6, take a prebiotic or a probiotic. So I think it's so interesting to hear about and take antibiotics, and now you hear, no, you need probiotics, and then your doctor gives you antibiotic. Like, it's nuts. Here's the thing, adding a prebiotic or a probiotic supplement to your diet may be a great way to improve your gut health. Prebiotics provide food meant to promote the growth of beneficial bacteria in the gut, while probiotics are live good bacteria. People with bacterial overgrowth, such as SIBO, should not take probiotics. Not all probiotic supplements are high quality or will actually provide benefits. So probiotics are not regulated. Nobody is watching that. They're not FDA approved. They're not regulated on that level. So I'm very wary of these supplements. Now, believe me, I believe in supplements that have been proven, tested, and manufactured the correct way. Most of them have not been having to go under kind of any kind of testing to prove what's in there. Nobody has to check that. People could have sugar pills in there and sell it to you and say it's something. So I'm very wary of that. And I'd like you to use what we know from the earth and can prove is helping your gut right here, right now. However, yes, they have been talking about probiotics, prebiotics, and I have really narrowed down and looked into a company brand that I really think I'm very much going to recommend and believe in. So I'm doing a little bit more research on that myself, but when the time comes that I am going to, and I feel 100% comfortable with sharing that information, I will absolutely share that. I've been looking tirelessly for one that I could really wholeheartedly say, this does make a difference. I believe in this product. But until then, we're going to do the natural things that we can to improve our gut health and to improve the gut health that we have. So here we go. Number 7, what we can do now for that gut health is we can eat less. I know you might not want to hear that, but I have to be so very honest with you, is that literally we could cut our food for our day in half and have all of the calories that we need. We are eating way too much in general, and we're eating too much of this god-awful processed food that is terrible for our bodies. So we're still going to eat some of that stuff that's not great. We're going to hopefully have like an 80-20. So we want to have an 80% where we have a mostly healthy, plant-based, water, pure diet. And then 20% we can have something. Yeah, you want that burger, you want the donut that's there. I mean, sure, you know, we're not living in a prison, but have the majority of what we eat be healthy and also cut it right in half. So that way, right away, we're cutting out half of this bombardment of toxins to our system. Do you know that your stomach is, if you make 2 fists and put your fists next to each other, that's as big as your stomach is. So your stomach is tiny. So if you put your 2 fists out in front of you, that's how much food should be on your plate, because that's how big your stomach is. Now, stomach is an amazing little organ there because it can expand. So interesting, we eat a huge meal, we feel awful, we expanded our stomach, and now guess what? Your stomach wants to fill up again. So again, we can shrink our stomach just as we expanded it, which I think is really beautiful. The other thing here that's very important is to think and eat alkaline. So when we talked about earlier today, we talked about inflammation, and the processed foods, the sugar foods cause inflammation. They're acidic. So there's your little graph there. And of course, you know, we have all the Coca-Cola and cakes and donuts and coffee. Oh, I do like coffee though. And alcohols all over in the acidic side. And then on your alkaline side, you've got your avocado, your healthy fats, you've got your kiwi, your fruits, your lemons, your pineapples, vegetables. Those are all alkaline. In fact, there's so much to be said for an alkaline diet, which is also known as an anti-inflammatory diet, for health and also to stave off cancer. They have done studies that cancer tumors feed off of sugar. So you might have read or heard about, or you are now, that you could try and starve cancer tumors and cancer cells by not giving them that processed sugary substances, but you stick to an alkaline diet and they can't survive. So there's a lot of talk about that. And I know people just feel great when they are on the alkaline. They have energy for days. It's like going in a time machine, how much better you feel and how regular your systems are working, your elimination, no bloating, like you feel amazing. So these are things that you can do right now for your gut health. Eat less and stick to alkaline, 80-20. You can still have once a week, go ahead and, you know, party it up, go out, have fun, do it, but don't have that be a daily that we're consuming all of this sugar. Very, very important for that. So the life class from Doulagivers, you're going to see that I'm going to be sharing in the 4 bodies of energy, which are the physical, which is part of what we did today because we talked about our gut health and our physical bodies. So Doulagivers Life Class is going to be educating in the 4 different bodies of energy that make up us: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And I'm going to be educating and doing classes and techniques on each of those body systems so we can nourish, clean out, heal, nourish each body system for the best existence every day. And it is possible. I have seen it with people, I have done it, and it is amazing. So if you want to every day be feeling your best and having the best journey within this experience, then keep coming to the life class because we're going to be covering it all. So Doulagivers Life Class will teach you how to create positive vibes every day in this platform. We will learn all about vibrational frequency and how we can raise all of our vibrations to become happier, healthier, high vibrational people, both individually and as a community collectively, for the benefit of all people, animals, and the planet. We are all in this together. It's really the little lifestyle changes we can make every day that make the world of a difference to us. Doing these things will literally lift you up into a higher, more positive state of energy. And I truly believe that happy people are also healthier people. So when people say vibrancy, so they eat foods that keep that gut vibrant, that is a state of vibration. So everything that we do and talk about in the life class will come back to energy and lifting it up, so that when you're existing in all of the body systems in the highest level of energy, you are in a great place. We have free monthly classes. You can sign up for them at doulagivers.com. And don't forget to join our Facebook community just for the life class, which is at Doulagivers Life Class, creating a global community for positive change. We are really trying to be there for one another to promote happiness, positivity, and what can we do on a larger scale collectively to make things better in our world. I think we so very need it at this point, and it's beautiful when we work together, magic does happen. So that is the end of tonight's class. I want to read, if you have a question, please put it in the question box. Let's see, we have a question here. Any research on whether or not gut wall can heal with attention to healing gut health? For example, anti-inflammatory diet like change. So yeah, so thank you for that question. And I want to share with you that when you have a continuous inflammatory bombardment against the intestinal walls, so you're constantly challenging it, you're breaking it down. When you eliminate the sugar and the things that are causing the inflammation, you start to heal that wall. When you start to you take away the inflammatory abuser, and now you're going to bring in the alkaline, full of, again, dense minerals and vitamins that are used to repair cells. You're going to start to see that wall heal. So absolutely, yes, it can, and you'll know it. And that's why when we do the 30-day gut challenge, that we want to bring people in and kind of, it's not just a gut challenge, it's going to be for everything. It's, we're deciding whether to do a 30-day Doulagivers Life Class whole challenge that we can do. It's going to have a heavy component, and the first component is going to be repairing our gut health, because that's our foundation for everything. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see how we feel in the beginning of that 30 days and how we feel 30 days from there. And I think that you're going to see a world of difference. So I hope that you stay tuned for that and do take part in it, because it will be absolutely incredible. Again, it's like a time machine. It's like turning back time. Thank you for your time, Suzanne. You are so very welcome. Do you think fasting helps reset the gut? Okay, Timothy. So we are going to do, so yes, to answer your question, yes, yes, and yes. We're going to do a whole nother class just on intermittent fasting and what that does, because it's such an important component to the health, and it does incredible things for speeding up and accelerating the healing, and the hormone balancing and all of that, that we have to do our own individual class on that. But to answer you, absolutely. And the magic that I have found in studying the intermittent fasting is scientifically mind-blowing. I mean, it's literally mind-blowing. It can cure and help us in so many different facets. So I'm really excited. Maybe we'll even do that in our next one. We'll see. But yes, you're right on. Okay, if anyone else has any questions, please let me know. Again, go ahead and do our Facebook community, because we post a lot of things for the life class in there. And at any time at all that you have a question, please, you can email support@doulagivers.com. I want to thank you all for being here. My name is Suzanne O'Brien. Here's to a happy and healthy rest of your night and week. I will see you all soon. Thanks, guys.